All right, guys, sorry about that. The Zoom video decided to kick us out. So here we are for part two of it. We were talking about the Seahawks drafting a running back of Zach Charbonnet, the running back from UCLA. And yeah, this was definitely a weird pick. Not that the Seahawks needed a running back, but at the same time, they still drafted one. It's not bad or good, but it was just interesting to see. So, Scott, can you just kind of pick up on where you were talking about before?
Yeah, Charbonnet is, he was talked about highly as like the third back off the board. I think it was a weird pick, like we all thought. But I guess it's from the analyst point of view, it is a depth piece. So I hope he's just like another like wide receiver like pick. It is weird because they took him as their third pick after Jackson Smith-Njigba. So um, I mean, they were close. They were in the playoffs last year with Geno and his first year. So I guess they're still like a top team. I don't know. They're not the lead
Definitely.
boom team anymore, but we'll see how they do this year.
I think there's still a team besides the Niners that could probably make it to the playoffs from the West.
Oh yeah, from that division. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Rams are going to be falling down. The Cardinals are going to be pretty bad this year. So, yeah, I mean, this is it's not a bad pick, but I feel like the Seahawks need to focus more on these defensive players, like getting a wide receiver in the slot. Okay, that's fine. And then you go up and you get your first pick there for they get a corner. That's great too. But you need to fix up on the defense more before you can start getting like all these running backs and receivers. Like these are things that they don't generally need. They need defense. The defense was atrocious last year.
Yeah, they didn't win a lot of games by low scores or them just beating somebody. They were, high score games where they, you know, beat the
They had to
clock.
win by shootout. They had to rely
Yeah,
on Geno Smith to be able to do it.
yeah, basically. And then you see, the Chiefs do what they do, and they draft another second round receiver, Rashid Rice, from SMU. I don't know a ton about him, but I think he was like, in that top 6, 7 range of wide receivers. We'll see what they have this year. They have Rice, they have Sky Moore, who they drafted last year, and they have MVS as well as the big man Travis Kelsey. And then we see, Dallas do what they do after letting Dalton Schultz go. They draft Luke Schumacher from Michigan. Don't know a ton about him, but they took him over, other big guys on the board, which was kind of weird, but see if it works out for them.
Yeah, the Giants got the center, which I think was something that the Giants could definitely use. So that was a good pick for the Giants. The Bears getting another defensive player like they always do. The Chiefs getting a wide receiver, and then the Chargers going in and getting an edge, which is also something that they needed to because I think they struggled in that last year. And knowing Joey Bosa, like we like Joey Bosa a lot. He's a big asset to this defense, but he also gets hurt a lot too. And then with Khalil Mack last year, that was pretty much non-existent. Sebastian Joseph Day made some appearances, had some moments, but not a lot. I think it was good for them to get a defensive player in the edge. So I think that was a nice pick for the Chargers. I'm not upset about that. And what other ones? The Cowboys, yep, of course, you knew they were going to get themselves a tight end at some point after trading away Schultz.
Yeah, they didn't have much here, but we see you can see how the Bears took a what was it D tackle, and then they took uh, a cornerback. So Bears are loaded up on defense. They won that trade when they got the first pick. They traded away and they got DJ Moore and all these other picks that they acquired. Um, a lot of the times when I was seeing the Bears draft, it was them and the Cardinals who mostly traded their pick when they were on the clock. They usually traded back. So, the Bears are loading up on defense now because they got their offense set after they got all their wide receivers and Justin Fields there now. So they're ready to go. Jaguars taking Brenton Strange, tight end from Penn State. I don't love the pick because Evan Ingram looked great last year, so I don't know how that's going to work out. Denver's first pick was 63, and apparently Marvin Mims Jr. is a great pick from Oklahoma. I don't know a ton about the kid, but apparently I heard great things. So that's good for me as a Broncos fan to hear that he's, looks good.
Yeah. No, I think the Broncos needed help on that receivers because KJ Hamler was hurt in the beginning of the year, then him coming back and wasn't really the same after that. Jerry Judy's a little overrated in my opinion. Cortland Sutton, you know, can get you open, but he doesn't make much separation. So the Broncos needed a lot of help in that department. So that's not a bad pick for them either to get from Kansas City. Anything from an interesting one that was kind of interesting getting from the Lions Hendon Hooker from Tennessee
Yep.
as that was a one that a lot of people did not like for Detroit to waste a pick on a quarterback.
So this was he was the fifth guy, right? Yeah, Hendon Hooker was the fifth quarterback taken off the board. He was the talks among that top five group.
Yeah.
They said he could have went into the first round. He didn't. I didn't think he was a first round pick. They always talked about in podcasts. I don't know if you heard it, but I think he's coming out as a 24 or 25-year-old quarterback. So he is old. And by the time his rookie contract runs out, I think he's either 29 or 30. So like they didn't like that at all.
Yeah, that was
So,
Stetson Bennett from Georgia.
well, that was also Hendon Hooker. Yes. I think he's so if you look it up, I can look it up right now. Hendon Hooker is Hendon Hooker is 25. So he'll be 26 by the time the season ends next year. He was born in January, so he just turned 25. So by the time his rookie contract runs out, he'll be like 29. So I don't love the pick just because he's, Tennessee quarterback and Tennessee was good last year, but what were they like the years before that? And Jared Goff, kind of like rebirthed his career with the Lions. He's been really good. They're on the cusp, but they look like a team that could, go to the playoffs next year. And, I think they're like the odds on favorite to like win that division next year and like make a big push into the playoffs. So
Yeah, I think they do. They have all the pieces now. I think they can make some noise next year.
yeah, I'd like to see it. Rams take Nathaniel Dell, wide receiver. They definitely need the help outside of Cooper Kupp. They don't really have much.
No, they don't. And that whole Rams team, name me some players besides Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, and Matthew Stafford. Who else do you
Yeah,
have?
right. They don't have a ton on their team left
No,
because they
because Jalen Ramsey went to the Dolphins. We already know how we feel about that trade. They definitely could have gotten a lot more out of him. So that was not a good trade for the Rams. They have no offensive linemen left that are good. Cam Akers is not good. Let's just face it. Cam Akers gets hurt, and he hasn't been the same since he got hurt. The Tyler Higbee is hit or miss. He's either there or he isn't. There's no more Allen Robinson, and which, by the way, he really didn't do anything for them last year. Yeah, there's not a whole lot left for this team. So they definitely needed a wide receiver. So we'll see. Maybe he'll do well with the Rams. It's something that Stafford can work with and everything like that. It could be a filler in until they get you know, some of their picks back. They don't get a first round pick until I think it's either next year or the year after they get a first round pick.
I think next year is their first round. They get a first round pick.
So next year they'll be kind of working to get back on track, but this year they'll kind of take a stump.
Yeah, we'll see how the Rams do. I hope they do good. We'll talk about one of their picks later once we get there. We'll get there. We'll see it. So none of these other picks were kind of too big. The Houston Texans took Jalen Hyatt, which was kind of big pick. He's a fast guy. I
Yeah.
thought the Giants took him.
Someone that was no, the Giants took who did they take?
Giants did take a wide receiver, but I don't. It was.
Yeah, they did. Oh boy, where is it?
I think he might have went past it. Might have been in the third round. I don't know, but we'll go through the picks anyways.
Yeah,
Um, hold on, you passed a good one.
which one?
So the Colts ended up taking Josh Downs. I think it's up a little farther,
Yeah,
right
there
there.
it is right there.
Yeah, he was regarded as a good running back. He's supposed to be really quick. So I was he was might have been a first round pick. They talking about him in the first round, if not the second round. Colts got him the third round. This will hopefully be good for Anthony Richardson. I think he'll be a piece next to Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman Jr.
Yeah, definitely. The Colts could make some noise next year after a disastrous year last year.
Yeah.
Nothing really else from there. The fourth round. No, nothing really in the fourth round. I don't think there was really that much after the fourth round. Oh, yeah, there it is. There's the Rams. They took Stetson Bennett.
Yeah, there we go. The Rams took Stenson Bennett in the fourth round. I was so hyped to hear about this. So he's going to back up Matt Stafford, and he's going to be the heir apparent. And then like in a year or two, we're going to see the GOAT on the field.
And then the Saints took a quarterback before the Rams did, and they took Jake Kaner from Fresno State. I don't know. I don't know much about him.
I think I heard about him as well. Yeah, from like some sneaky dark picks.
Charlie Jones, another wide receiver from the Bengals, just to get some more depth into the Bengals. I understand why they did it. Um, yep, the Vikings did take a corner.
Another one. Yep.
Oh wait, yeah, the Raiders. The Raiders took a quarterback. They did. I forgot. They were another team that took a quarterback too. Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, from Purdue. Don't know much about him, but
No. But who knows?
no.
He could be a starter in the future if Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't work out.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo is still young. I still think he's going to be good for them. He's going to do a ton. That's a depth piece for the Cardinals right there with Clayton Tune as a quarterback. Another quarterback for the Raiders, Browns. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We definitely passed that Giants pick. The Giants drafted a wide receiver in the third round that we were high on.
Yeah, and that was pretty much it. Really, after this, wasn't really anything special.
Yeah, go back up and go slowly through the third round because I believe there is a pick.
He could have gone in the second. He could have gone in the second round too.
Does it show the Giants pick somewhere?
I have not seen it yet.
All right, what does it say for the second round? The Giants did draft a wide receiver that I remember my buddy was high on.
Yeah, because they took a corner too. The cornerback they took a center, and they did take a wide receiver.
I see the Giants right there at 57.
Yeah, that was the center.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it anywhere right now. Oh well, we'll find it later. It's not a big deal right now. Um Anyway, so that was pretty much our draft. I'll come up with my own predictions and well, my own grades and everything like that at some point. Um, within the next week or so, to just kind of touch up a little bit on how each team did and everything like that. So that's what I'll do but there's not much after this. Fourth round, fifth round, sixth round, kind of like as some would say, the leftovers at that point, like some would think about, but not really anything really big to talk about. So, and not much about to talk about in the seventh round either. So,
Yeah. So the draft overall was an exciting one. A lot of you know, questionable picks, but there was also a lot of excitement.
yeah, I
Usually,
mean, obviously some big trades that happened, like with the
yeah,
Falcons getting going up to get Bijan Robinson, which was a huge one. The Seahawks getting another running back. Um, trying to see some picks, trade ups for like the Cardinals trading up some picks too, and the Bears trading up some picks too. So I think it was an overall good draft for most teams, but there are going to be some teams that are going to be looking into next year's draft. And Scotty and I kind of talk about it quite a bit. We think it's going to be the Cardinals. We think the Cardinals
yeah.
are going to be the team that's looking
Cardinals
for
or
next
the
year.
Commanders are the odds-on favorite, I think, to get to either have 2 or 3 picks next year in the first round to trade up to 1 and get Caleb Williams first overall, or I don't know. The class is supposed to be stacked next year with quarterbacks. So, but that is the key piece to get Caleb Williams. Apparently, he lit it up this year, and he has another year. So we'll see how he does for USC in the fall.
Yeah, and I feel like the Commanders, you said, right? The Commanders were one that were kind of going to be.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Commanders they're relatively good. Unless if they can try and sneak away and trade up like one of their best players for a first round pick to just get him or something like that. Like I could maybe, but I don't know. I feel like the Cardinals are going to be a lot worse. They're going to be a lot
yeah,
worse than the Commanders. I think the Commanders are still they're a team. But they're also a team that's kind of feisty and they can win games if they really need to. So I don't think they're going to be like a number one overall pick next year. But who knows? I could be wrong.
yeah.
I
Well,
could
the
be
Commandos are like known for it. They gave away the King's ransom for RG3 way back in the day they traded away like 2 or 3 first rounders to move up to 2 to get him. Um, they haven't had a great quarterback since him. So, and they, gave up on Kirk Cousins, which was a dumb move because, the Vikings have done good with him for a while now. But like they just got new ownership and, Ron Rivera is the coach now, but we'll see at the end of the season. So this might be like a turn of the page kind of thing. But other than that, those are the 2 top teams I think will be in the line for a quarterback next year.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the Rams could also be too. I don't think the Rams are going to win many games this year. I think they'll kind of be a team that might be wanting to look for a quarterback, maybe try to convince Matthew Stafford to retire or something like that. I love Stafford a lot and I'm glad he won a Super Bowl, but I don't think he's really got it in him. I don't think he has much left in the tank to win another one because of how hurt he's been over the years. So I
Yeah,
feel
they
like
loaded
it's
up.
time
We'll
for him.
see. The Bucks might be, in the top again because they lost Brady, and they might fall off a cliff now. I think the Rams might be better this year because Stafford's hopefully healthy after the back surgery. Other than that, there's a lot of teams that are on the rise. I think the Vikings are going to be better now that they have 2 good wide receivers. Ravens, have Lamar coming back, and now he has incentive to, show up for them every single day, every single game. Um, Love to see the Bengals get in there again. Bills might go get all in there and try to knock off the Chiefs. We'll see if the Chiefs can hold up to all this competition.
And don't forget about the Jets too with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and Rodgers said he was gonna take it for them. The Jets might be a dark horse to win it all this year. I'd love to see him just for Jets fans and people of New York. It's
Yeah.
be
No, I feel like the
fun to
Jets
watch.
have I think the Jets have a lot of the pieces. I think real obviously they needed quarterback, but I also think they need to fix up on the offensive line too a little bit. Defense is stacked, obviously. Quentin Williams, Sauce Gardner, they're stacked on defense. And they have some nice pieces of offense too, but they can probably just make it just a little bit better. If they can just make it just a little bit better now that with that Rodgers is there, they went all in to get him. They could be a Super Bowl team next year.
Yeah, well, we saw it last year. They were on the cusp, and they almost made it with. I think they were in contention for the playoffs until like middle of December, which is saying a lot since Zach Wilson was the quarterback for most of the year. So
Yeah, Zach Wilson, Mike White, Joe Flacco. You know,
honestly, if they ran with Joe Flacco and Mike White the whole season, they probably could have ended up winning like 10 or 11 games because they were like in it with those two.
yeah, and it really wasn't all quarterback that was winning. Winning those games, it was mostly defense a lot of times, but
Yeah,
I mean, Mike
and
White did
Brees.
do what he can, and you know, Joe Flacco was the most experienced quarterback of the three, so
Yep.
he was able to win some of the games that he was able to start in.
Yeah, and Brees Hall broke out before he tore his leg off,
Yep.
and he's going to look good next year if he's healthy. But that team, if Brees Hall didn't get hurt, we could have been talking about the Jets in the playoffs because he was
Yeah.
doing a lot for them.
No, but I think they'll be a dark horse next year, though. Now that Rodgers is there, I think they've got a legitimate quarterback. They got a short term quarterback now with Rodgers, and then by the time it's time for him to retire, if he wins them a Super Bowl, they could be looking for another quarterback for their future because their team is young, very young.
Yeah, their team is really young. Yep. Yeah, maybe they'll make moves next year. They don't have the first next year probably because in the trade they gave up was first they traded picks this year. They traded their second this year and like a 6 or a 7 or something like that, and then they traded a second next year that is a compensatory pick that could turn into a first, which will most likely turn into a first. All Rodgers has to do is play 60% of the games, so that will most likely be a first for the Packers next year. But who knows? Maybe the Jets could trade some player in the offseason and acquire a first.
Most definitely. So yeah, there's a lot of teams I think they're going to be on the rise. Obviously, talking about the AFC East, that's going to be one of the toughest divisions in football. The NFC East is going to be a powerhouse too next year. We have some teams like the Lions could win the North in the NFC. The Bengals and the Ravens going neck and neck with each other next year. I could definitely see it. I think Lamar and Zay Flowers is a special one, and Odell Beckham Jr. they've got, and Mark Andrews and J.K. Dobbins, and a pretty good offensive line, a nice solid defense. They can definitely compete with the Bengals. The AFC South pretty much will probably go to the Jacksonville Jags next year, or if the Colts kind of start making up an uprise, they could probably sneak away with the division title, but I think the Jags are more likely to win it next
Jags
year.
are stacked. I'd love to see Trevor Lawrence in the playoffs. He is that next like big quarterback. Him and Joe Burrow, I think, are the best two quarterbacks to come out. Well, they both went first overall, obviously, in the last like 10 years. So I really love to see Trevor Lawrence like show us how good he was since he was so good in college. And now he has Ridley, he has Christian Kirk, he has Zay Jones, ton of pieces on offense. So they look like a team just ready to, make a big push.
Yeah, I think so. If they could just fix up the offensive line a little bit, especially in the inside of it, yeah, they're going to be a team for next year to be talking about for sure. I think they're great. They're going to be pretty darn good next year.
Yep.
And then the NFC South, of course, is that one's a that one's up for grabs. Really, anybody can probably win that division.
That's the Panthers, the Bucks, and all them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the Panthers made the right move in drafting Bryce Young and starting it off, and Bucks don't have Tom Brady anymore, and their team's kind of in flux. Todd Bowles not a great coach, so we can already see how that's going to go.
The Saints will be average. I think they'll be solid enough. They'll be solid enough. They'll get by with Derek Carr, I think. but their team is old though too. They got an older
Yeah,
defense. They got some older Michael Thomas. We have no idea what's going on with him. Alvin Kamara, he might be getting suspended
up
early in the
there.
season next year. Yeah, he's getting up there in age too. Offensive line is solid, but I think they could get it better with it. Defense is still pretty good, except Cam Jordan's getting older. There's another defensive player that's also getting older too. So, by next year they should be drafting some new players for them for next year.
You thinking of Lattimore? Is Lattimore up there?
Marshawn Lattimore is still pretty good if he's healthy, at least. If he
Yeah.
stays healthy, he's good.
I think this division is going to go back to what it was like 6 or 7 years ago. I mean, Drew Brees was the centerpiece for the Saints for a while, so they were like always in it. But I think it's going to go back to what it was when he was quarterback and Tom Brady wasn't there. I think it's going to be between the Saints and the Falcons, like how it was between Drew Brees and Matt Ryan. Now, mostly because the Falcons are the more established team. Like they got the coach that's been there the longest, and they got that roster that looks like it's the most complete out of all four of them.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think the Falcons are still good. I think they'll be fine too. I think they'll get better next year. I think getting that running back definitely helps a lot. The Bucks will fall apart. So that's something. The AFC West, the Chiefs should still win it, in my opinion. I don't know how I really feel about the Chargers. I feel like they're a team that could be good. It could be really bad. I think it'll be Brandon Staley's last chance to be able to prove himself. And if he doesn't excel to that role, he might get fired. The Raiders, I feel like, are going to be better with Jimmy Garoppolo because of that relationship with him and Josh McDaniels. And he's worked under Josh McDaniels during their time in New England together. So I think the Raiders could probably be better than the Chargers, in my opinion. The Broncos, I still have yet to really see if Russell Wilson is going to be able to pick up the slack from what the Broncos weren't able to do last year. And, getting Sean Payton, I think that could definitely be up there too. So that's
I
how
think this is the sneaky good division because Broncos got Sean Payton and Wilson looked better after they fired Hackett, so it was really his like bad play calling that made the team look bad. He's got another year under his belt as the the quarterback for the Broncos. So now he has like a competent player caller. Russell Wilson's more like Drew Brees, so that will be like easy for Sean Payton to coach. The Chargers getting Kellen Moore was a big move for them, and just getting another wide receiver is good for them. So I think they're going to be a sneaky good team. The Raiders going to be around 500 again. I think they're going to be better this year than they were last year, obviously. And but this is a team. This is a division that could be where all teams end at 500 or better. I could definitely see that.
Probably. They probably could. One of them will probably miss the playoffs. Who knows?
Yeah, but I this is going to be a good division to watch.
Yeah, no, it'll be a lot of fun. It'll definitely be a lot of fun. And then the NFC West, like I said before, besides the Niners, I think the Seahawks could win it too. Rams, Cardinals, they'll be down this year. But I also think the Niners need a quarterback bad because Sam Darnold is not taking them to the playoffs. I'm sorry. Brock Purdy might, if he gets back in time, he might be able to save the team. And Trey Lance, who knows what's going on with Trey Lance?
Yeah, we'll see. We heard all the rumblings that Trey Lance might have been traded during the draft. It didn't happen. I think what they're going to do is apparently what I heard is Sam Darnold's going to start the season. We'll see what Kyle Shanahan can do with him. If anybody can make Sam Darnold look good, it's Kyle Shanahan because
100%
genius.
And Darnold is coming back to California too,
yeah,
hometown and home state and everything like that. So maybe this might be the best fit for Darnold. It might be the best situation for him.
Yeah.
Be here.
So we'll see. I don't think Trey Lance is gonna ever start for the 49ers again. Maybe he will. I don't know. They should after trading up all those picks, but they're not the first team to miss on a first round quarterback.
No,
So
they're not, and you still hear about the Bears trading up to number 2 to get Mitchell Trubisky.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the Bears only traded up, I think, one pick with the 49ers that year, so it wasn't that too bad of a thing. But they wasted the pick anyways, so you
Yeah,
don't always get first round picks.
Mitchell Trubisky could have been good. I always had a soft spot for him. I always liked him. I thought he was a good quarterback that can win you games and he's competitive, which I always liked about him. Which is kind of a shame that he never really got a legitimate shot with the Steelers once they traded him. Once they the Bills traded him away to the Steelers.
Yeah.
Not him really getting that chance, but Kenny Pickett is good, and I think he could be something special for them for the near future. I think he's another Ben Roethlisberger that's a clean pocket passer, and Trubisky wasn't a clean pocket passer. He's someone that's like a kind of like a Jared Goff, but someone that doesn't feel comfortable with maybe a more of like a Mariota, where he's not a good pocket passer and is more of like an RPO play action quarterback that does better when he is on the running motion and looking for an open receiver.
Well, I guess we'll see. I mean, um, Trubisky always has that chance to become Geno Smith, I guess. Geno Smith was never really good in his career, and it took him almost 10 years to be good. So, I mean, he's been on the Giants and I think a couple other teams since then. I think he was drafted by the Jets, if I wasn't mistaken. And he was on a couple teams before he was on Seattle, and he backed up um, Wilson before he left, anyways. And they were deciding all last season before if it was him or Drew Lock. So he really came out of nowhere and looked good.
Yeah, no, I think he had a good year. I think he had a lot of help too, which also helps a lot too. If a quarterback is given a lot of help around him, he's going to be good.
Yeah, yeah, they did a lot to protect him and give him the time. I think Seattle has a good offensive line. I mean, Ken Walker looked like a freak after he started uh getting all the carries. So, Seattle will be good again. We'll see how long they last.
Mhm. Definitely. I think they're going to be good next year. I think they'll be even better. I really do.
Yeah.
That's something weird that I've never really wanted to say about the Seahawks. I'm not a huge Seahawks person, but for me to say that they're actually going to, admitting that they're good, they could really well be good next year.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening in. If you haven't done so already, please drop a like on this video and leave some comments down below. And let us know as far as like what other things you want us to talk about. We know there's a lot that's been going on in the off season so far. The draft is over now. We talked about some of the top picks that happened in the draft and everything. And I'm also planning to, once the schedule is released, which is supposed to come out on the week of May 8th, you'll
Is
get to
that
see my season predictions and everything too for that. And also post on here as well as like my my grades for each of the NFL divisions in the AFC and the NFC, and kind of see like where the teams look overall after the draft. But this was just kind of a quick summation of just talking about everything, about what we thought about each of these picks and what we thought was interesting and things like that. So give us some of your suggestions on what to talk about, or we will make sure that we do it here on JP Football Fanatics. Scott, do you have anything else that you want to say?
Oh, yeah, I didn't. So they advertised the schedule release, but we'll have to, do a video, a pod on that because that's always fun to talk about rivalry weeks and big matchups that we look forward to watching, and Sunday night football that looks like a playoff game, or Monday night football, the same thing. So we'll have to do one for that. Look
Definitely.
forward to that.
Definitely. You and I will definitely be doing that for sure. All right, guys, this is JP Football Fanatics saying peace out. We'll see you all next time. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Have a good one.